cigar reviews. Today I will be reviewing the Cohiba Nicaragua. They call this the N50 N Crystale because it's in a glass tube. This is a Nicaraguan Puro. The wrapper is a sun-grown Colorado Oscuro wrapper, and the fillers are from Crystale in Jalapa, and the binders from Jalapa. And the factory, now typically Cohibas are Dominican, but the way I understand it, they've actually put a factory in Nicaragua to produce these cigars. So, of course, there's somebody cutting the grass while I'm doing the cigar review, so we'll, if you bear with me, see if I can figure out how to. Wow. Alright, there we go. I think I finally got it. Alright. Not sure why they felt they had to put a little tag on it, but there you have it. Oh, yeah. That's what I was afraid of. The glass tube got damaged in shipping, had multiple cracks throughout it, and when I pulled the cork you could just hear the glass breaking even further. But we're good. That glass tube will go right into the garbage. This is a 5x50 cigar, a basic Robusto size. Good looking wrapper. Good firm pack, just ever bit so slight amount of give, ever so slight, just as it should be. Tight but visible seams, some typical veining, nothing to write home about. Nice color. Some barnyard on the foot. Some bulk of what I'm getting on the foot, some barnyard, some grains, just that kind of thing, farm type sense. The wrapper, not getting a whole lot on the wrapper itself. Okay, well, we'll see what we've got. I'm going to try my little scissor cutter here. I've only used it a couple times. Now the problem I find with a scissor cutter is, I don't have huge hands, so my spread is only, so far, and it's just barely enough to get around a 50 ring. I could maybe go a 54 ring cigar, but anyway. Kind of messy cut. Yeah, it's not real impressed with the cut on that. I mean, tobacco went flying everywhere, and it's kind of chunky here and gonna be in my mouth. But anyway, lots of spice. Now, my other complaint about this scissors cutter is it folds, which is nice, but it's kind of clumsy. It's clumsy to open, even more clumsy to close, and it's kind of stiff. But you want it to be stiff enough that it's not going to be flopping around while you're trying to cut. But whatever. All right. Pretty light draw. Definitely some leather there. Lots of leather. Real nice. Now this cigar was gifted to me by a friend from Facebook, Victor Esposito. Thank you very much. It was run right about $11. You can get them on some of these discount online stores. They usually come in a 5-pack or a box of 20 or whatever, and so they usually, if you figure all that into the equations, it's about $11 a cigar. Man, there's a ton of leather there. I love it. Something else going on. I'm trying to pull it out. It's bound in amongst all the leather. Now, silly me, I grabbed this lighter because the lighter I wanted to use, which I used last night, was just about out of fuel. kept going out on me. So I'll grab this other lighter. Well, I forgot this one was just about out of fuel too. We'll see if we can survive here. If not, we'll have to pause and go get another, go get a refill here. Tell you what, we'll take a little break here. I'm gonna go get a refill on my lighter, and I'll come back with the cigar lit, and I'll give you my impressions on the initial lighting. See you in a bit. Alright, so here we are, about 10 minutes in. I'm still in the initial lighting, but as you can see right off the bat, it's burning really off kilter here. I'm going to give it a little touch up. But I'll tell you, the initial lighting, I got the typical blast of pepper, give it a moment to kind of settle down and see what it's going to do. About 5 minutes into it, I picked up this hint of some real sweet spices, like a kind of like a cedary sweet. I'll tap my camera here. There we go. But it didn't have that cedar flavor, just a cedar quality as far as like a sweet cedar, some other sweet type spices. Wasn't quite sure what they were, but they were sweet. It was kind of good. And then the burn started going a little crazy on it, and I'm not getting those sweet spices. But you know, this is still pretty much the initial lighting. I'm only 10 minutes into it at this point, so I'll continue on, and I'll come back somewhere in the first third. I'll see you in a bit. Pairing today's cigar with a Corona Rita. I'm about halfway through with this. Typically when you order these in a restaurant, they'll come in the wide, like a sombrero type glass, margarita glass. And I have a clip on it, and I have one of those little mini bottles. I guess they're like, I don't know, what are they? 8 ounces or 6 ounces or whatever they are. The little bottles of Corona sticking in there, and as you're drinking it, it slowly blurbles out the Corona into the drink. And what happens typically is by the time you get down half or less, either there's an air pocket and you're no longer getting the Corona coming through, or the air pocket manages to dissipate and you dump a big glob of Corona in and you're not getting any margarita. So what we've done at home here is we've eliminated the clip, which we did try for a while, but we've eliminated the clip, and now we just pour the Corona directly in. It doesn't take a whole lot, and then you have an even amount of Corona to your margarita the whole way through. And when it's time to get a new one, you just go make a whole new mix. Works out great. Now, that being said, it's a basic lime margarita with Corona. The lime margarita tends to add a quality of sourness that lingers, kind of thick, coats your tongue way in the back of your mouth and everything. And I do notice that can greatly influence the cigar smoking experience. So keeping that in mind, some of these sour type flavors I may be picking up are due to the Corona Rita. That being said, let's get back to the cigar review. Oh, that's good. All right, here I am about 20 minutes in. Had to tap the ash off a couple times. As you can see, it breaks off kind of jagged. You don't get that cone shape, which would indicate a good construction and that type of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with the construction. I haven't had any real issues other than the initial, when I first lit the cigar, 5-10 minutes in, it had where one side wasn't really burning very well, touched it up. Haven't had any major issues since then, but the ash does remain loose and flaky. And I've been tapping it off in, at best half-inch chunks, maybe more like 3/8, something like that. But you gotta really mind it, because you can see about 3/8 to a half-inch in, it starts to crack all the way around, and fear of it dropping in your lap. Anyway, not that big of a deal. I've had many a good cigar that didn't ash very well, very cleanly. The first 20 minutes in, I'm picking up definitely some spice, and there's still that slight sour character, which may be from the Corona Rita. Not 100% sure. Typically, in the past, I found it's as with most of the Oscuro wrappers, I'm not a big fan of Oscuro wrappers. I have found one or two cigars that use an Oscuro wrapper that I liked. For the most part, I find Oscuro wrappers to be slightly sour. Not sour in that they've gone sour or they're bad. It's just the flavor that they put off. I'm not a big fan of Oscuro wrappers. Plenty of smoke output. I'm not really picking up any real complex flavors or nuances or anything like that. For the most part, it's just a little bit of spice. That's about all I'm getting right now. So I'll continue on, and I'll come back somewhere in second, third. See you in a bit. So here we are in the second, third. Haven't had to touch it up yet, but you can see it's starting to burn uneven again. The ash has been very loose and flaky and cracking off in 3/8 inch chunks. So yeah, you really got to mind your ash with this. We'll go ahead and remove this label here. All right, label came off nice and cleanly. No excess glue, didn't damage the wrapper at all. There's a slight bit of meatiness in there, maybe a little bit of sweet cedar, very subtle, very subtle. Some subtle hints of sweet tobacco with maybe a mineral undertone. Very subtle. You have to look for these flavors. They're not forward and up front and in your face. An inexperienced cigar smoker might not pick them out, but someone like me that enjoys a challenge and enjoys looking for these flavors, yes, be a nice cigar. That being said, there's it's not one-dimensional necessarily. It's just all the flavors are subtle and kind of hidden, and makes you look for them. So that aspect of it can be very enjoyable if you enjoy having to kind of search for things. So anyway, I'll continue on, and I'll come back somewhere in the final third. See you in a bit. Here I am about 55 minutes in. Final third. Not much going on, just some pepper and a little bit of spice. Nothing to write home about. It's not bad. Fairly smooth. Maybe not as well balanced as some other cigars that I've had. No off flavors really. That sourness is pretty much gone, and I've still been drinking my Corona Rita. In fact, I've gotten a refill. So it could very well be that the sourness I was picking up was from the Oscuro wrapper. Hard to say for sure. Smoke's a little dry. Has been from the very beginning. And a pleasant cigar overall, but at about $11, maybe a little bit pricey. But Cohibas tend to be in that price range, some a little more expensive. Would I buy this cigar? Maybe. I'd probably give it another look. But I'll continue smoking this, and I'll come back in the final third and give you my final thoughts. See you in a bit. So here we are in the nub. I've been smoking this for just over an hour. No changes in the nub. It's still just that kind of pepper and a little bit of spice, maybe a subtle hint of mineral in there. Who would I recommend this cigar to? Maybe not a novice, as the very subtle flavors are hard to pick out, and they might not be able to appreciate the subtlety that comes through with the real soft flavors that are kind of hidden, and you really have to look for them. But an experienced cigar smoker could appreciate perhaps the challenge of looking for these flavors. They're not at all bad, other than the first 2/3 and through part of the final third. There's a little bit of sourness to this, and I'm going to say it's the Oscuro wrapper just because that's been my experience. And keep in mind, I have been smoking this paired with a Corona Rita, which does have a sour aftertaste that lingers in the mouth, so some of that sourness could have been from the Corona Rita, but as I said, it's been my experience that Oscuro wrappers tend to put off a sour aftertaste. I'm going to give this cigar a final score of 88.5 points. I've made no adjustments to that final score, although the burn wasn't perfect. It was a little bit wavy, and I did have to touch it up a couple times. One time the smoke became very thin, and I felt it was about to go out, and numerous draws was just making it hot without getting any more smoke. So I did go ahead and touch it up, and then the smoke did increase, but the flavor profile did not change at all. Now, I did not do a purge throughout the cigar, other than when I initially lit the cigar. That may have brought forth some fresher flavors, but I don't foresee that, just based on the fact that I wasn't getting any off flavors of any kind. It just didn't have a whole lot to offer. Everything was very subtle, short on the finish. But, you know, sometimes cigars are like that. So I'm going to end this cigar review here, saying, of course, thank you once again to Victor Esposito for sending me this cigar in for review. I very much appreciate it. And I thank you for once again watching Scorpion Cigar Reviews. I'll catch you next time. Look at that. It went out. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to touch this up, and I'm going to finish this nub off. But that's it. See you next time, folks.